Today we are going to hopefully finish up the inside of the book. A couple of steps left, fairly easy steps. If we're careful, it should be no problem at all. Take our wax paper out and have a look at what we have inside. Our leather is solid. The corners aren't too bad. You can always dab a little more glue in there and kind of mold them and dab them in. I won't do that on camera for you because it just takes some time and it would be a bit boring to watch, I think, but it's quite simple to do. Now, the next thing that we want to do is fill in the area between the pieces of leather so that we have a nice smooth page here. I have this thin gray board that just about perfectly lines up. In fact, it's a slight bit too thick, slightly too thick, but it's not a problem. Better that, I think, than not thick enough, just because the finished look will be better. But what I want to do is even out the amount of leather we have on each side. The easiest way to do that, you can kind of eyeball it, but if you have a cutting board, you can line up your book with the white lines and then line up the ruler, the ones there, and get a 1 centimeter gap. You can draw the line first. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. Since I use the ruler anyway. No harm in going straight to the cut. Pull this away. Some of the gray board might come away with it. That's okay. There we go. Wow, that looks sharp. We'll do the same thing on this side. I'll line up with the white line. Line my ruler up. I can't line it up on this side of the book, but I'll do the best I can to line it up here and then eyeball it. And yeah, that looks about right there, I think. Now, being careful not to cut here. Go just from the seam. Don't go right from the end. Go from the seam here. There we go. And if you pay attention, you can feel when this is going through leather, and you can feel when it hits that, and you can hear it. So when I go through here, same sound. So I know I've cut through the layer of leather. Now here, I think we're best to sneak a pair of scissors in there. Maybe not. Was wrong. The leather's been a pain to me on this project so far. There we go. So another nice, neat corner there. One more on this side. This one I can put almost flat against the board and get that line a bit clearer. Again, I can't see the line on this side, but I can line up on this one and then just eyeball it. Should be able to get a nice clean. And I can feel in here that I'm through the leather. Don't want too much gray board to come off. It doesn't hurt anything, but now I think, yeah, I can tell here that I'm a little too thick there. Here I'm a little over 1 centimeter. Here I'm a couple of millimeters more over. So I'm just going to even that up a little bit. Now the reason I do that is for three reasons really. One, the more kind of perfect your book is on the inside, the better you're going to feel about it. Two, the easier it's going to be to cut this to the exact size you want, or as close to it as possible. And three, it's never going to be perfect. So if your little ridge is kind of all caterwonky all over the place, it'll look kind of sketchy and not very carefully put together. Whereas if these lines are straight, you'll be much happier with the finished result. So I am going to place that in there. Make sure that it should fit quite square. I'm going to mark the edge there. On this side, I'm going to mark the edge here. And then one quick cut. And again, don't try and power your way through the gray board in one pass. This is quite a fresh blade, so I think two will probably do it. Yeah, there's a little at the top. I didn't push it all that time. Okay. So top to bottom, that should now be a fit, and I didn't do it quite wide enough for a perfect fit, but we're good. Now I don't want to mark it off in the gap here. I want to try and get right to where the edge of the board is, which in this case is here. And on this side is here. I can err on the side of it being a little bit big. Oops. There we go. Now that will fit in there very nicely. And fill up the back. Now before we glue that in, I am going to make another one for the other side of the book. First, let's get these edges trimmed, and hopefully I can do this a bit more accurately this second time. It is quite satisfying after fighting with the glue and the leather and pushing it all around to get it to fit so nicely around this edge with this narrow little straight piece. It just feels very nice. Good feeling of accomplishment there. Okay. Now I want the bottom lined up too, but if I have to make a choice between the two, I'll line this one up. It's a little longer for one reason, and that will help make it a bit more accurate, but also I'm cutting the long side, so I want to make sure that it's the side I'm lined up the best with. And in this case, I can see the white line on both sides, line up this white line, so this, in theory, should be the easiest one to cut, although you remember on the other side, this is the cut that I got wrong. Okay. Now, if you'll remember, where the leather wasn't quite perfect on the end before, that angle cut, now you can see as we refine it, it gets less and less wrong. I think it may be thick on that end again. It must be kind of an optical illusion of lining this up at the angle I'm sitting. That might be the problem. Okay. There we go. Excellent. Okay. We'll mark that one. We'll mark this one. And last time, you remember, I was a bit short this way, so I'm going to err on the side of a tiny bit bigger. Just slide that over a millimeter or two. Oh, that's a nice fit. It just snapped right in there. Did you hear that? Only thing is, that might be just pushing it a little bit. Take a millimeter off of that if I can. Oh, that's nice. That's actually quite a tough cut to make. You want a very sharp blade if you're taking that little bit off. There, that's better. Oh, that's a good fit. All right. Lop this side off, and then I think we are ready for gluing. That is pretty good. There's one thing I want to do before we glue it. I'll be right back. I am back, and I went to get this. The reason I got it is to wrap around our text block here and protect it a little bit. I've tried various different materials, and I think this one's going to work quite well. There we go. I'm trying to keep it flat. I don't want it all crumpled up if I can help it. I'm going to try and just take that little bit off there and wait for that to be quiet. The reason for this is when we put the glue on there, the moisture will tend to make the back of the book very kind of bumpy and warbly. There's one thing that I did wrong there, because for this particular type of book, I want one sheet from either side left out of this little protective barrier. I'll show you why shortly. Yes, that'll work well. All right. I'm going to grab some glue. I think I will use that as a blotter if I need it. Okay. Now, way too much glue. I really don't need that much on the back because it is going to be inside the book. There's really not going to be much stress on it. Although my outside leather is quite narrow, so on this one it might actually be good to have a little extra because it might be doing more than the usual amount of work and holding this page to the cover. Now, while I am out here, I am going to put glue on this page that I left out, paying careful attention to the outer edge. Don't want to go this way, always from the center outward. That prevents little blobs of glue getting pushed in around the page, which if the edges of your pages stick together like mine did, that shows that you missed a bit. In here is close here is the important area to get as well. Okay, so with that glued, I'm going to pop this down there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue, again, probably too much. I don't know why my gluing is so heavy-handed these days, but all I'm doing is a little bit of glue around the edge on this surface as well to stick that glue to. The glue on the paper's drying a bit, getting a bit tacky. Make sure I get right into the inside here. Now, when I close the book, make sure the cardboard is snugged right up there. The page is snugged right up. Not too snug, please. I close it. I'm going to want to really pressure that down. You might even want to put the brick on it or the vise or whatever at this stage and let that side dry before you do the other one. But I'm going to do this one really quickly, just by way of a second demonstration, in case you don't know how the pause or rewound buttons work on your YouTube, which I'm sure you do. I'll just do this really quick. Not too worried if I go outside the lines because I'm going to glue that up anyway. Okay. How did I have this way, I think? Yep. And another blob of glue, this time intentionally a little bit heavy-handed because it also will serve to glue up our paper. Okay. This notebook is made with 120 GSM paper, which is quite thick. It's about 50% thicker again than what normally you would put in your printer. And so we're able to use it as the end papers. We don't need a separate end paper. We can just glue the first page to the front of the book, and the second page, or the last page, to the end of the book, and we're good to go. I think that is enough glue. Making sure that is quite stable there. We will press that down, and even though I have my big marble slab off the boat, I am going to use this again because the marble slab is busy pressing a tiny Napoleon book that we're working on. Now you notice here I'm doing one corner then the other one, rather than this side at once and then this side, or this side and then this side. If you do it diagonally, then it is less likely to kind of squish the book one way or the other. That's where laying a big brick on it is nice, because you just gently set it down and gravity keeps it even and steady. Let's take a look here. That looks fairly steady. It's clamped down, and we'll have a look at it in about half an hour, and it should be good to go. Okay, here we go. This should be the finished article. Okay. So we open it up. So we have from the front our glued page. And it's not bad, the moisture gave it a little bit of warbliness there. And then we have all of your middle pages up to the back, also nice and stuck on there. We can trim this down a little bit if we want to keep it so it's not hanging over quite so much, that's fine. But in general, that is the basic book. And I will do several shorter videos that will show interesting things you can do to the front, different little tips and bits for how the pages go, cover relief, and you should be able to make your own special journals from this point forward. Have fun, and we'll see you in the next video.